Hey guys, Coldbrew here. Welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. Plarium's anniversary is coming. Alright, exciting. We're gonna get packs, we're gonna get free stuff. But what is exciting is the Forge Pass Season 2 is coming. And from what some little birds told me, the Forge Pass will be the same exact pass that we had last month, featuring the Instinct set plus some other rewards. It was $20 and you had multiple rewards that you could get. Was it worth it? Not so much. Me personally, I think I said I will be limiting my expenses, and now with the coming of June, I will be limiting it. So probably I will not buy it, since if I show you guys right here, the instinct set is still not crafted on my account. A speed boost of 12% and an ignore 15% of enemy defense kind of set is not really worth it for my account. It's worth it for earlier accounts, but for me, not so much worth it. So this is where I'm coming with this video, guys. This video will be ranking basically the forge and each set that you can craft, depending on its usefulness and where you are within the game. Of course, I'm gonna say that end game players will not be watching this video, so this is not if you are an end game player. End game players will be forging based on their needs, right? Okay, where do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? They'll be forging more of that and using their charms accordingly, because the forge, even though it's accessible from level 30, is usable forever. Basically, it's the best part of the game, much easier to get gear compared to other places, and it revolves around doing faction wars, doing arena, and doing the Doom Tower, all those things that you get. Oh, plus events, because you do need them to get the Swift Parry ones. So once you get all those resources, you use them for the forge and you get the gear, and as you progress, basically you always need them and you will always be crafting. So the instinct set, although accessible only through the forge pass in terms of the large quantity that I have with 200 5 or 6 star pieces, which is still great, but it doesn't remove the fact that you need a lot of good chance to get the 6 star, you know, 25% chance, and then to get a legendary, that's another 7.5% on top of that. So it only goes to 50% with the charm. But for the instinct set, I would advise away from this. Anyway, getting started, the top of the top in terms of sets, and if you're looking to get into the end game, should be the perception set. Perception set, you should always be crafting this. Ideally, your crafting should be done during a CVC, since you get a ton of points. But if you see that you lack progression, just forge away. That's the way to go. I rank the forge perception set as number 1 over sets such as the Swift Parry one, which is more difficult to get, and the deflection one, which is again the same kind of difficulty with the Swift Parry, but very difficult because you need the core hammers, and these are only accessible through events. Unfortunately, they're locked behind that, and we can't go and unlock them otherwise. I think they offered some through the last Forge Pass, but I'm not 100% on that. Even so, I wouldn't rank them over the Perception set. Perception set is number 1 in my opinion. It's a set that you will always be crafting and always be looking for those good subsets. So definitely worth it. Number 1 in my opinion. Number 2, I would say it goes to either the lethal or the guardian set. So I'm saying either because these two are very helpful in specific situations, but I'm gonna go with the lethal set, and then it's gonna be the guardian set. So the lethal set, in my opinion, is the second best because it is a savage set, but better. 10 times better than a savage set, really, because it also gives you a critical rate of 10% in terms of a boost. All right, if you have a good lethal set, you'll always be using that instead of a savage set, just because of that added bonus of the 10% crit rate. But it's very difficult to get because you need to be beating this version of the Doom Tower, the one with Dark Fae that we have just started like a day ago. Unfortunately, this is like a pretty tough boss to beat, so there's a specific strategy to beat it. If you have that on farm, then great. Start farming lethal, because that's going to help you slowly make your nukers way stronger. And I did mention next up it's going to be the guardian set. So the guardian set is very helpful when you're trying to alleviate some of the pressure on your on your team, on your ally protectors with another ally protector. It basically gives you a ton of support. And this is basically like a small version of an ally protect, like only 10%, but it also gives you healing. And it's easier, I would say, compared to others. Beating the Griffin boss is not that hard anymore. It just needs to have, you just need to have specific strategy. Again, similarly to all the bosses of the Doom Tower. Next one, I would say, in terms of usefulness, is going to be the Untouchable set, because the Untouchable set, slowly you'll start to require this for the arenas. You go in there, you need an immunity set to help you protect from those debuffs starting up the fight. If arena is not of any of your concern, then this just drops down the list way more than even, let's say, the Bloodthirst set. The Bloodthirst set is very situational, and it depends on if you require lifesteal. If you require lifesteal, then this can even go up at the top below Perception set, because the lifesteal that you need, you can either farm for the dragon, which is the easiest dungeon to do, and you get the lifesteal gear. I showcased in my free-to-play account before that the lifesteal gear, it's so good. You can even use like a 4-star piece, and it can get you going into Nightmare Clown boss. It all depends on the synergy of your champions, right? It's not just the sets and getting 6-star legendaries. So this one's a better version. You don't always need the added crit rate, but the crit rate helps you get bigger numbers. The bigger numbers give you bigger healing back. But the healing that you get really is mostly through War Master and Giant Slayer, especially if we're talking about boss hitting and clan boss hitting. That's where you get the healing, not from the big crits. All right. So the Bloodthirst set has a place, but I would rank it below others, especially if you're progressing through mid game to end game. That being said, all of these sets that I mentioned are Doom Tower sets, so these are way more difficult to get than, let's say, the Resilient set, which is accessible the same way as the Perception set. It's accessible through farming the Faction Wars. You should always craft Resilience, but it's a set that it can be replaced by the other 2 set bonuses like Speed, Accuracy, Perception. The bonuses that it gives are nice, but usually you require Perception more for most champions out there, especially champions that you're using for the clan boss. So I'm actually ranking it quite low, although it's an easier set to farm and it's quite useful. Next one, it's gonna be, personally for me, the 42 set. So resistance plus defense, that is huge. That helps a ton with the Hydra, but Hydra is not so much of a concern if you're still having troubles with Faction Wars, if you're still having troubles with the Doom Tower and beating harder versions of it, all right? So the 42 set gives you resistance and defense. Resistance is great. You resist the negative debuffs. For Faction Wars, like 300 resistance is enough to basically resist everything. For Hydra, 500 resistance is something that you need. So getting this instead of farming the Ice Golem is a decision that people actually start to make. Instead of farming the Ice Golem, they go for this one. So they get some extra stats in terms of resistance plus defense, right? The Instinct set, by the way, I did not mention, but I would say it drops to around the middle mark in terms of usefulness. It only is useful if you have enough to craft the 200. So if you got the Forge Pass. If you don't have the Forge Pass, then amount of gear that you craft is very limited, and the chances you get something good is, again, very, very low, which it doesn't reflect on the usefulness, because you'll not get enough to get a 4-piece set going. If you do get enough, then great. You can start equipping it on champions that do need that extra bit of speed boost, and of course the extra bit of damage comes as an added bonus. You can even equip this set on champions that just need speed, because let's say your speed items are not the best, but this one you get because you bought the Forge Pass, really, right? On the bottom of the list, then we have these 3 sets, right? The Fatal set is higher than the others because this one gives you attack percent and crit rate, but if you're farming the clan boss already, you have a comfortable team, you start to get the Cruel sets. Cruel sets give you 15% attack and a 5% ignore of defense. So if crit rate is not an issue for you getting crit rate, then the Fatal set is replaced by Cruel much, much easier, and Fatal set is ignored by the most part. For me, I never use this set over Cruel. Cruel always wins. Even on champions that might not even need Cruel, I'll give them Cruel. If they're like HP nukers or defense nukers, I'll give them Cruel if I don't have like a crit damage set. All right. Frostbite is one that I like, but it's an RNG set. You don't need more RNG in the game. It's a 15% chance to block freeze debuff and 10% chance to place freeze debuff on the attacker. So I don't like the frostbite set so much. I find that more RNG is not helpful. Of course, this benefits from having multiple pieces, but it's not a set that I will go out to craft and try to get you know, the best sets. That's why I put it way down below in the list in terms of forging. And then we have Affinity Breaker, which again falls below everything else at the bottom. Again, a 4-set bonus with just a 30% crit damage boost. You lose out on 10 from just having crit damage gear, which is not that much. And if you're looking to get that 20% chance to change a weak hit to a crit hit, then cool. But if this was more like a 50% chance, I would be more comfortable in equipping it on champions like Royal Guard. But again, those champions will benefit most from Savage or Lethal, right? So that's why it drops so low. This should have been, let's say, a 2-set bonus with a lower crit damage bonus, of course. Let's say a 15% crit damage with a 20% chance to change a weak hit to crit hit. I would be more comfortable equipping a 2-set bonus of this one, because that would still be RNG and it will still be, you know, good 1 out of 5 times that you hit, right? But 1 out of 5 times is quite low when you have cooldowns of 4 turns. Those 4 turns will take a while to do. 4 times 5, so 20 turns. To get 20 turns going and get your cooldown back up so that it can be the one that it's not a weak hit. I mean, it's RNG and the game already has a ton of RNG. And finally, the Swift Parry and Deflection sets. This fall to the end game category, which do not even fall in the tier list that I've mentioned of gear, all right? Swift Parry and Deflection will be crafted depending on your requirements, and you'll have to decide one or the other. There's no crafting both of them because they both share the core hammers. The Swift Parry set is very annoying for arenas, and if you plan on pushing and you don't have any Swift Parry at all, then you slowly start to craft these and push your arena team forward. But that's only for really the players who wish to get into the end game. The Swift Parry will not provide you anything more than other sets. It gives a little bit more speed compared to, let's say, the 12% that the Instick does. But the problem with the Swift Parry is that it has a very high crafting cost. The core hammers, I can only craft 80 pieces of the Swift Parry. And the core hammers, you need, look at that, 50 per craft, which is insane. So it's 500 for every 10. So it takes away your Magisteel very quickly. And if you cannot farm the arena comfortably, you cannot beat the whole list, then you'll be in trouble because you run out of Magisteel. And then the other sets that are more important, let's say the Perception set, will fall out, and you'll be basically missing opportunity of crafting the good sets compared to just crafting the Swift Parry, which again needs the 4 sets, the 4 pieces, the 4 good pieces to get the bonus, right? And it's not really worth to get 3 pieces plus the one that's very bad just so you get the bonus, right? It's not worth it. Deflection is very, very dependent on your champions and where you want to use them. You can use deflection sets if you plan on beating the Bommel. You can equip these on Vogoths. It makes your life way easier in terms of deflecting the bombs back to the enemy, and that's pretty much it. You can use this on a Paragon. Other than that, again, it's an RNG set, but it has higher stats, so it's the best one of the RNG sets, I would say. And the Swift Parry has a high RNG chance. The 50% chance is quite high compared to everything else, which is like 25% chance, 20% chance, 15 and 10% chance right here, and yeah, all of those kind of suck. So this was the video, guys. The Forge should be launching anytime soon today. I hope it has something different than before, but as I said, the little birds told me it's going to be the same one as before. Hope you guys enjoyed this ranking. If you disagree, leave it down below in the comments and see who agrees or not in terms of which items to craft or not. I'll see you guys soon. See ya.